It was just after dawn when I realized something was terribly wrong. The fire captain barked orders, his voice drowned out by the crackling blaze on the ridge. "Where's the tank?" he demanded. His eyes wide and frantic scanned the horizon. I glanced behind my house, my stomach sinking. That's when I saw it, the patch of dirt where the 4,000-gallon emergency water tank had stood just 2 days ago. Gone. It was gone. Gone, I muttered, feeling the heat from the fire on my neck. The captain's face was grim. That tank was our backup line. Who moved it? I didn't hesitate. The HOA, I said tightly. They towed it. The disbelief on his face quickly shifted to fury. It was like a switch flipped. And just like that, the fire wasn't the only thing threatening my neighborhood. It had been 2 days since everything had been calm. The sky had been its usual clear blue. The sun high in the sky, shining over everything. It was a beautiful day, almost too beautiful given what I knew was coming. I was hauling a small miracle, a steel water tank, up to my property, part of a special wildfire readiness program. As a firefighter, I knew just how volatile our area was. The wildfires were no joke. I'd gotten approval to place the tank behind my house as part of the county's emergency response plan. I thought my neighbors would be relieved to know I was preparing for the worst. Everyone seemed to understand the danger, everyone except Karen. Karen, the HOA president, was a woman who took her position with the zeal of a general minus the charm strategy or common sense. Her war. Anything that didn't fit her vision of neighborhood perfection. Lawns, fences, doorbell cameras, and now my emergency tank. I hadn't even gotten the trailer into my driveway when I heard the unmistakable clack of her flip-flops. She stormed over, clipboard in hand, sunglasses perched on her forehead like some kind of weapon. "What is that monstrosity?" she shrieked, pointing at the tank like it was an alien invasion. I tried to explain, offering her the official paperwork, but Karen didn't care. "It's not aesthetic," she hissed. "It violates Section 3, Paragraph 9 of the HOA guidelines." I bit back a laugh. A water tank for wildfire protection, and she cared about aesthetics. "Karen, it's for wildfire response. You know, those things that are constantly burning down half the state." She didn't flinch. "You have 24 hours to remove it, or we will." I shrugged. "It's behind my house, Karen. You won't even see it from the street." Her voice was cutting sharp like a knife, visible to me, and that was it. I thought the issue would resolve itself. It didn't. The next morning I was called into the station for an equipment audit. It was supposed to be a short 2-hour task. When I got home, my tank was gone. In its place, a patch of crushed grass and a violation notice taped to my door like some kind of cruel joke. Unauthorized structure removed. I stormed over to Karen's house. She was out smugly watering her garden, her grin wide as if she'd won a battle. "Oh, that," she said nonchalantly. "It was towed this morning." I was furious. "That tank was for wildfire emergency preparedness. You just sabotaged it." She shrugged, not even pretending to care. "Well, maybe next time you'll think twice before parking industrial garbage in my view." That was when I knew this wasn't just about a tank. It was about power. And Karen had it. At least she thought she did. The next few hours were a blur of phone calls, red tape, and frustration. The tow company wouldn't release the tank without HOA approval. The city didn't even know where it was at first. They'd logged it as abandoned equipment. I called the county coordinator for the wildfire readiness program, and when he heard what had happened, he choked on his coffee. "They towed it," he asked, his voice filled with disbelief. "Who authorized that?" "Karen," I said flatly. There was a long pause. Then in an almost whisper he added, "That's a lawsuit waiting to happen." But the fire was already coming. The smoke was rising from the north, a distant warning. I watched the sky darken over the next day, the winds picking up the air heavy with tension. Neighbors were starting to panic, asking about the tank. I had tried to protect them, but Karen's petty obsession with appearance had sabotaged everything. That night, as I watched the news, I pulled up the security camera footage from my side yard. Sure enough, there she was, Karen flashlight in hand, pointing at the tank and gesturing to 2 men in orange vests. She even stopped to take selfies like she'd just captured a wild animal. That's when I realized this wasn't about rules. This was personal. I emailed the footage to the fire department, the HOA board, and the county emergency services director. 10 minutes later, the fire marshal himself called. "We're about to have a major situation," he said. "That tank was designated for the secondary line of suppression in your sector. Without it, your street is cut off if the fire jumps the valley." "I'll get it back," I said, though I had no idea how, but I knew I had to. The fire was moving closer. The air was thick with smoke. We were in danger of being evacuated, and without our backup water, I knew we would be defenseless. Karen, she was hosting a community event, handing out flyers for a Green Lawn Gala. I couldn't believe it. She was hosting a party while the rest of us were bracing for impact. It was like she was living in a different world, disconnected from reality. And then just after 2 a.m., I got the call. A fire had started near the entrance to the community. It was small at first, but they couldn't access the backup water. The tank, the one Karen had removed. I called Levi, a guy I worked with on wildfire drills. "It's a disaster," I said. "Where is the tank?" He gave me a location, County Yard 7 on the outskirts of town. I called in a favor from Reggie at the firehouse, and together with Rosa, we went to get it back. We found the tank covered in dust and labeled impounded. With a little help from a utility worker, we managed to get it hitched up and brought it back. Just before 1 a.m., we had it back in place, hooked up and ready for action. That's when Karen showed up barefoot and furious. She screamed at me for stealing it back, but I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. The fire was coming in fast. We were already seeing the effects, embers flying through the air, the trees beginning to crackle, but the tank, our tank, was ready. The fire crews were using it, and we were able to defend our homes. By the time the fire was contained, we had saved everything. But Karen, she wasn't done yet. While we were working, she tried to interfere with the fire response, but a firefighter stepped in and restrained her. She was escorted home by the police, and that was the last we saw of her that day. As the fire line finally stabilized, we breathed a collective sigh of relief. The tank had done its job. Our homes were safe. But that wasn't the end of the story. The next day, the HOA board met. Everyone had seen the footage of Karen's actions. The board voted unanimously to remove her from her position as president. The neighborhood was free of her tyranny, and we could finally focus on what really mattered, each other's safety. That tank, the one Karen had tried to erase, was now a symbol of resilience. Together we painted it with flames being doused by waves, a phoenix rising from the ashes. "This tank saves homes," we wrote, and it did. As for Karen, she moved away, her house sitting on the market for months. No one mentioned her name again. She had become irrelevant. In the fire season, we were ready. Our neighborhood was finally prepared, united in a way we'd never been before. And every time I see that tank, I remember how close we came to disaster and how we pushed back. The lesson. Sometimes the things people overlook, like emergency preparedness, are the very things that save us. Don't let bureaucracy blind you to what's really important. And when it comes to fighting for what's right, never back down. What do you think? Has Karen's story made you think twice about the priorities in your own neighborhood? Share your thoughts. Would you have fought for that tank? Or is there another way to handle this kind of conflict? Let me know in the comments.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.